Hello, and welcome to another of our series of conversations with pathologists and why we love our jobs. Today I'm speaking with Sara Jiang, who's at Duke University Medical Center and is a renowned cytopathologist and very proactive social media advocate for pathology. So Sara, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your job?
Hi there, so glad to be here. Thanks, Dr. Hassel, for the invitation. I'm Sara Jiang. I'm a cytopathologist and surgical pathologist at Duke in beautiful Durham, North Carolina. I love cytopathology. I love teaching fine needle aspiration biopsies. I love being able to have that impact that we have on patients directly. And then I do head, neck, and endocrine pathology as well. And as Dr. Hassel alluded to, one of my main interests outside of the traditional academic model is using social media to educate, network, and engage for medical professionals.
So tell us a little bit about the work environment at Duke, the kind of colleagues you're interacting with, the sort of peer-to-peer relationships you have, your patient contact experiences. How do those fit into your day?
Sure. I've actually prepared a little slide deck with some photos. Would you like me to go ahead and share that with our
Great.
audience?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Prepared some slides to kind of show you a little bit of why I love my job. You know, in pathology, we're very, very visual. So I've put together some pictures.
Pathologists can't give a talk without slides.
That's exactly right. So this is where I work in beautiful Durham, North Carolina. And on the left side, you see Duke Chapel, which is the center of our undergraduate campus, which is just steps outside our door. And then on the right side of the screen is our medical center campus, our cancer center, and our Duke Medical Pavilion. You can see out front here, it's celebrating 90 years of Duke University Hospital. So I have the great fortune of working in a very collaborative environment with both an undergraduate campus and a research campus just outside my door. I get to work with a multidisciplinary team of oncologists and surgeons to help take care of patients. And our campus is, like I said, right next to the undergrad campus, the engineering schools, and so I have the opportunity to work and collaborate with people outside the medical school as well, and it's fun. So if I'm collaborating with someone in biomedical engineering, I could just kind of walk down to their lab, they can come visit mine, and it's really easy to work on neat projects that move the field forward. So my department is really fabulous as well. So these are some of the people that I work with. This is from pre-COVID days, as you can probably tell. This is our staff photo from a couple years ago. We were all standing 6 feet, closer than 6 feet together. This is our clinical department as well as some of our trainees from back in the day. And so I'm fortunate to be in a relatively large subspecialized department. I have wonderful colleagues who help me out with subspecialty consultations. We have wonderful clinical pathology colleagues, transfusion medicine, microbiology, all the things that are needed to keep a busy medical center up and running with accurate and timely testing. And I get to teach as well. So pictured there are some of our trainees, current and former. I get to teach residents. I get to work with fellows, most closely the cytopathology fellows. And then we have a steady stream of wonderful medical students who come through as well. We have both medical student 2-week selectives, 4-week electives, and then we have a post-sophomore fellowship. Duke has a unique curriculum where the third year is dedicated to research. So we have some students who choose to do their third year research in the department with us as well. So lots of teaching, lots of education, keeps us busy, but it's really a wonderful, wonderful group of people. And I personally am a Duke lifer. I've been at Duke. Actually, I did my undergrad at Duke. I left for a little bit, went to New York City, decided that I love New York, but maybe it'd be easier to go to medical school somewhere where the rent isn't quite as high. Came back from medical school, which is where I really discovered pathology, fell in love with the specialty. And part of the reason I love the specialty so much was that I found the colleagues and department and the people in pathology to be just some of the most dedicated educators. Really, I saw a lot of enthusiasm, even in very senior faculty, that even after decades and decades of working in the field, they were still enthusiastic, excited about their work, excited about teaching. And when I thought about what I wanted my career to be, I wanted to be somewhere where I could have that same enthusiasm for teaching and education, 30, 40 years down the road. And, this is my 7th year of being on faculty. I'm an associate professor now, and I am still enthusiastic. I mean, you can probably see it. I still love talking about pathology. I still love teaching pathology. I have so much enthusiasm that it can't be limited to my own institution, which is why I go on social media. And truly, part of it is because I get to work with such awesome people.
Yeah, I think people often say that pathologists are among the happiest, but part of that happiness is that there is that enthusiasm for what you get to do. That you get to participate in the care of the patient, you get to participate in the advancement of the field, you get to teach, you get to do all these other kinds of interactions with great people and as peers and colleagues.
Absolutely, absolutely. And next I have kind of showing you a little bit of the challenges and problems that I get to solve. And of course, as you can tell, I'm a talker, so just interrupt me if you have questions, or otherwise you might not get a word in edgewise.
No, we're
So
doing great.
yeah. So these are some photos, and this is I have to give credit to the CAP for coming to do a photo shoot at Duke to show off some of our wonderful campus. This is on the left side, my FNA clinic. So I do, this is our older ultrasound machine. We got a new fancy one now. So as a cytopathologist, I do fine needle aspiration biopsies, and those can be either palpable, just, kind of nodules that you can feel, or they can be with ultrasound guidance. We have our own ultrasound machine. We do our own ultrasounds. And so we get to do a lot of biopsies of thyroids and other sites where an ultrasound is really helpful to take a closer look. And so that is always a challenge every day when I'm on the FNA service. I don't know who's going to walk in. I don't know what's going to happen. We have a walk-in clinic. And so for me, that's one of the challenges and rewarding aspects of being a cytopathologist, is to come in, see patients, meet them for the first time. And it's my challenge and opportunity to get them comfortable enough with me as a physician, explaining the procedure, that then they allow me to take part in their care by performing a biopsy. And I think that like I said, is both a challenge and very, very rewarding. We can get an answer, sometimes a relatively definitive answer, in just minutes, and then the patients can go back to their oncologist, their surgeon, that very day, and start getting teed up for the next steps in their therapy. And so I think that for me as a cytopathologist, that is a really, really powerful way to be able to help impact patient care in a very direct manner. And I really love that part of my job. I always say, you shouldn't go into pathology if you want to, do direct patient, face-to-face patient contact every single day. But there are actually a number of opportunities, even within pathology, to still get that patient interaction, practice your bedside manner, and have hands-on procedures. The other half of this screen is our frozen section lab at Duke. And so here we have some of my pathology colleagues, as well as one of our surgical colleagues, sitting around the scope. Again, pre-COVID days, so no masks, and we're closer than 6 feet. And the frozen section day is when I sit there all day. I'm in the hot seat, and we look at samples from patients who are in the OR getting surgeries, to look at things like margins, to make sure the tumor's been completely resected, kind of give a preliminary diagnosis for cases where the surgeon might need a little bit more information to help manage the patient in the moment. And those are definitely very, very challenging days. We have over 45 ORs. It's very busy. We get a lot of volume, and we see a lot of interesting cases, and that is definitely a challenge, but another opportunity that I really enjoy, to be able to be there in the moment, providing that timely interaction. And the surgeons, again, pre-COVID, we had a little bit more, they come in, sit down, we chat. It's a chance to kind of see the surgeons, talk to them directly, and get to see our colleagues. Now we sit a little further away, and they don't come in as often because of trying to social distance, but it's still an opportunity to interact with them.
Yeah, and I think those short interactions with patients, even though they're brief, they are a real wonderful challenge to build a rapport, to learn from the patient, and to do some advocacy or some counseling with them that makes a difference in their outcome. Not just providing the answers. Sometimes you're providing a perspective on their disease that sometimes even their oncologist or their clinician doesn't have because of their lack of understanding of the morphology and the progression or lack thereof of disease.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Absolutely. I've even had the opportunity, sometimes patients will ask if they can come look through the microscope with me, and I'm always happy to kind of bring them right next door into our microscope room and show them the cells on the slide. And I think that that's been something that's really powerful, right? Because again, humans are very visual, and being able to visualize some of the things that are going on inside your body, I think is a real opportunity for us to educate.
absolutely.
So next, Dr. Hassel asked me to say, what is my lifestyle like? And I think that I've shown some of my favorite moments here. So this is a picture of my office here in the upper left-hand side. I've got some nice monitors, which were causing me some issues with my PowerPoint presentation earlier. I've got my beautiful microscope, and just off the screen to the left, I actually have a window, which is great. I think that as an academic pathologist, I definitely work very, very hard. I'd be lying to you if I didn't. When I'm on service, I am busy, busy, busy. I'm in the hospital, although usually my days don't start any earlier than about 7 at the earliest, so not terribly early mornings. And I do, like I said, I work hard. I teach all day. I'm kind of running back and forth from clinics. I get my steps in around the hospital when I'm on our cytology service. But I think there is some flexibility. So if there's a week where, say, I want to, be off to take my kids on vacation somewhere, I can usually get that time off if needed. Our call here, I take weekend call and night call for frozen sections in cytology. That's relatively infrequent, and it's home call. So I mostly, knock on wood, usually don't have to come in. And now with telepathology, even overnight frozen sections, I look at those from the comfort of my home while our trainees kind of scan the slides digitally and we review them over the computer. Some of the things like I like to do in my free time that I sometimes have is these are my 2 kids on the beach. We love going to the beach. One of the things that, again, pre-pandemic days, I did a lot more of was traveling. This is a picture of from a couple years ago. A few colleagues and I were at the ASCP meeting, and we went to Alinea in Chicago and had a really nice dinner. I love eating. This is my very lovely husband in Santorini with me, so we really enjoy traveling. And again, back in the pre-pandemic days, I like to do some scuba diving. So I wouldn't say that, again, I would never say that I don't work hard. I definitely work nights and weekends, writing books, writing papers, but being a pathologist and being in medicine has allowed me still to do a lot of the things, again, pre-pandemic days that I love doing, which are, traveling, eating, spending time with my family. And so I've been very, very fortunate that this specialty and field have allowed me to pursue some of those hobbies.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know a pathologist who doesn't have some sort of a healthy balance in their work and life that reflects the sorts of things you've illustrated here. Outside hobbies, outside interests, heavy family obligations, and that's one of the beauties of the field. I think, of course, is that it allows that kind of flexibility. And even changes the dynamic over time as your children's ages change and so forth to allow you to be a part of that activity without maybe some of the enormously oppressive specialties that tend to squeeze all of those sorts of things out of your life if you aren't very careful. So.
Absolutely. And I'm very fortunate. Again, my colleagues are very supportive. Again, back in the day when my kids were going to school, if there was a day where, I needed an hour of coverage for something to go run out and see, a recital or a Halloween parade, it was always very easy to find someone, hey, I'll cover an hour or 2 here. We really help each other out. And I think that we are in a specialty where there is a little bit of flexibility in, if someone else needs to cover the cyto service, it's not the end of the world, for a couple hours. So
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed that. It's been really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then the next thing was what makes it all worthwhile, right? I've alluded to the fact that in academic pathology, I've definitely done a lot of writing on nights and weekends, and it is work. You know, I love teaching, I love doing all these things, but it is work to put together lectures and get up in front of a room of a bunch of in front of a bunch of people and teach, and it takes extra time. And this is a picture just showing some of the things that make it all worthwhile. And again, of course, this is all pre-pandemic days. Now it seems so weird to see all of our faces so close together without masks. But it's really the community, the teaching, the colleagues in pathology. I've been so fortunate that through social media, through giving talks, I've made some wonderful friendships with pathologists all over the world, really. So
Yeah,
this is a
yeah.
picture in the upper left here of a giant selfie we took at the USCAP meeting with pathologists from all over the world. And these people are people who I may not have spent a lot of time with in person necessarily because we practice all over the country, all over the world, but through social media and through meetings and working together, these are some of my best friends in the field. And I feel like, even though much of our interaction is virtual, I can turn to them with questions, projects, and this is my network that I really can depend on. Down here, this in the bottom left and middle here, this is pictures from a trip that I took to Spain. So last year, Eduardo Alcaraz, who's a cytopathologist in Murcia, invited me to be a part of the Spanish Pathology Society's talk. And so I went to Granada. I gave a bunch of lectures in English. These are some of my other friends and colleagues. I was able to travel to Granada, have a nice dinner overlooking the Alhambra. We just had a wonderful, wonderful time, and it was work still, giving lectures and presenting, but I was able to travel and I was able to network. Oops, sorry, I went back. Because I am a pathologist and I was able to educate people. This is a picture of a talk that Jared Gardner, who's kind of the godfather of pathology social media, and I gave at USCAP a couple of years ago. Being able to teach and educate with my friends is just wonderful. And this is one of my favorite pictures. Every year I do a intro to fine needle aspiration session for the pathologist assistant students at Duke. And every year I work with them on their smearing techniques. So this is a picture of some of the beautifully even smears that our PA students made. And so I really love that because what makes it all worthwhile really is being able to teach the future generations, work with others, collaborate. It really is, it's the people, I think, and the community that make it all worthwhile.
Yeah, and certainly even this conversation wouldn't be happening if it weren't for social media and the connectivity and the sort of fellowship that you feel with colleagues who are dealing with the same issues and confronting some of the same challenges. How do we recruit medical students? How do we train them? How do we provide better instruction? So it is remarkable how communal the field of pathology is, even though maybe there's 18,000 pathologists in the United States. Your sphere of interaction may be far greater than just your hospital or your state or individual region of pathology, because of this kind of both national and international organization, and now social media that tends to connect us much more readily.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think that the pandemic has been such a challenge on really every level. But if there is a silver lining, it's that at least we are currently in this day and age, we have access to so much technology. Sometimes it is troublesome, but so much technology where we can still stay connected, still educate, and still try to show off our specialty, despite the challenges of not being able to meet in person.
Yeah. So what's your advice for medical students?
So you probably have guessed my advice, and that is to get on social media. And I've put my social media handles on there just because
Great.
that was easy to do. But I would definitely say if someone is considering pathology, especially right now, depending on whether or not you have the opportunity to actually have a real pathology elective, go on social media and just search hashtag Path Twitter. You will be amazed at how many pathologists are on there. I have to give a plug to the virtual pathology elective. It's patholective.org, I believe, and that was started by my friend Dr. Kamran Mirza, who was in one of those photos, and Cullen Lilly, who's a medical student at Loyola, and a huge group of folks have really come together as well to put together a virtual pathology curriculum. So if you're a medical student who is interested and may not have access to pathology rotations at your home institution, you can go there, you can learn about different elements of pathology. There's quizzes, you can get certificates. So that's an amazing resource as well. But just get on social media, reach out to us, and I think you can get a really good sense of what the pathology community is really like. We are a bit nerdy, I will readily admit, but we're very, very friendly, and I think that it's a great way to kind of get a sense of, who are your future colleagues going to be?
Well, we're nerdy because we get to play with some of the best tools.
It's true.
That's
It's
for
true.
sure. A
We have the best science.
microscope is old, but we also have AI and digital path and all these other new tools that are coming on.
Molecular, all the good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all in our domain. Well, Sarah, this has been really rewarding, and I really appreciate your time and your perspective on where pathology is for you and what it's meant. And I think that your comments will be very worthwhile for many of the students who will take a look at this and hopefully investigate patholective and perhaps cytology and fingers crossed, maybe even Duke pathology down the road. So
Yeah.
thanks for joining us in this.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.